What up, what up, what up, brothers? Hope you're having a good Tuesday. Welcome to Mike Your Mentor. Today is My Life Monday here at Mike Your Mentor. So if you're new to this fan page that I'm running, basically I started this because I've had a pretty crazy life. And looking back on it, I'm asking myself what made the difference in my life, right? Like what were the tangible things that helped me go from being born into poverty and in a crazy situation with no dad, or a dad I should say, who was in and out of my life, and some other crazy stuff that you'll see on my page talked about, suicide, um, uh, flaws in my character, things like that. What made all the difference? Besides God's grace on my life, it was mentors, right? Having good mentors in my life, whether through books or physically just observing and watching men in what they did, men who took an active role in my life. So I'm a firm believer that it doesn't matter what age you are, you should always have a mentor, and you should always be a mentor to somebody else. So that's what this channel is about, because men are leading uh, quiet, desperate lives where they're not finding satisfaction in what this world is offering. Right? We think that we're like, is this it? Like married, have a kids, work a job, rinse, repeat. No, there's more to life than that, and you get those experiences and those feelings through giving back and to reaching out to your brothers in need. So enough with that. So tonight's topic is My Life Monday, and I usually share what's going on in my life for the week. And this past week there was nothing really crazy. My life is actually uh, kind of kind of simple, and I like it that way because then it's not hectic and it's manageable. I do got a lot of things going on with work and my business and just everyday routine, but a common thing that keeps coming up, or I guess that came up a lot this past week, was like principles and character. And I think it's perfect for today because, you know, with today being MLK Day, you know, despite your thoughts around this day, right? Martin Luther King was a man who had certain principles, right? He had certain characteristics, foundational truths and beliefs that he was not willing to bend for anybody. In fact, he was willing to, die for those things. And some of the observations that I've noticed just growing up and paying attention to men, right, and through the things that I've gleaned through the courses I've went through conversations with older men, and things that have been revealed to me, is that a lot of men don't have any principles. We don't have things in our character that were that foundations in our character, I guess I should say, that we're willing to die for, right? Like, I think back on my own life in the times I compromised on something because it was just easier, right? That human condition to take the path of least resistance, led to me compromising my values and the things that I believe in. So I have two questions for you tonight in tonight's short video. The first one is, what values will you teach your kids? Right? And that's actually leads us into an even bigger question and a more important question, because the values you teach your kids will stem from, what do you stand for? And have you ever really thought about that? Have you ever really taken the time to write that down? Do you have any reminders anywhere of your life of what that is, what those things are that you won't compromise on, those things that you will instill in your children? We hear a lot of them kind of growing up, the things that our moms, I guess moms are notorious for this, teaching us, do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say it at all. those type of things. And they get instilled and ingrained in us, and we remember them, but are those the type of principles that we're willing to die for? And I'm serious. I mean, literally, like, die for them. And if you're not intentional with thinking about those things and walking those things through in your own life, you will compromise. And my story is just a testament to that. And as the weeks go on in this channel, I'll be sharing some things that are tough from my own life, that deal with compromise, because I never took the time to really ask myself, what are my values, what are my principles that I stand on. Now, I kind of had an idea, right? Like, it was a distant thought in my mind, but it was never I never really made a declaration, right, to myself of, this is it. This is what it's going to be. This is what I stand for as a man. And we're going to get into those. So I want to give you a little example, right? Through this process, right, of maturity and going through the course that we talk about on Fridays, the quest for authentic manhood, you're going to be asked to think about this whole thing about manhood and when you actually become a man. Like, what time in your life did that happen? And for most of us, there is no significant day, I guess, right? There was nothing that was surrounded with ceremony, unless maybe you're Jewish and you had a bar mitzvah. It's very uncommon in Western culture for men or for young men to get initiated into manhood. So me going through this course and thinking about this and thinking about my son in his own life, like, what am I going to do for him and to show him what I didn't have growing up? So I came up with a 3-part plan, and we'll get more into that as we progress. I don't want to steal the thunder from previous or weeks, the next week, following weeks, I guess, teachings here. But when he was 13, this first part of introducing him to manhood, like, kind of took place, where I took him to my grandpa's cabin, and we had a ceremony for him, right? Like, I invited some men that meant a lot to me to speak into his life. First, we just had some fun. We played some paintball, and then we ate some dinner at the cabin. But at night, we had a little ceremony where I asked these men to share some significant things about their life and what it means to be a man. And it wasn't only me, but I also invited a good friend, a close brother of mine, him along, and his son as well, to take part in this. And I can't tell you, like, how powerful this was. Like, both kids were in tears. Like, I mean, like, snot bubble like tears, like, to have other men come around you and to build you up, to lift you up, to tell you that you're good enough, to tell you that you have what it takes in life, to just reinforce certain things in your life and to encourage you to go on and to never give up and to pursue your dreams. I mean, it's emotionally, mentally, and spiritually life-changing. Something my son still talks about to this day. So we had that ceremony, and we made it special, and I ended up giving my son a sword, and my friend gave his son a sword to kind of commemorate that time in their life. So whenever they see those symbols, they'll remember that. So that was the first part. So the second part is I'm going to be doing something else for him here when he turns 18 and he graduates from high school, and it's kind of this progression, right, that I've planned out. And part of that is for me coming up with principles not only for myself but for my family and what I'm teaching my son and teaching my daughter. And this right here, right, I use this for my business, but it's more than that, right? This is what my family represents, or the values that are important to me, that I will die for, and to instill in my son and in my daughter. So if you notice in the upper left-hand corner, right, the first one is strength. And this isn't just physical strength by any means. This is emotional strength, right? Mental strength. We kind of talked about this earlier in the week with the four faces of manhood, right? The warrior mentality, the strength to go on when things get rough, when things get hard, to push through, right? And to know that something greater lies on the other side of that challenge or that season of life. So the second thing is courage, right? As men, and as a man, I want to lead courageously. I want to do the things that other people aren't willing to do, say the things that other people aren't willing to say. And part of that is honor, right? Like, there's all this crazy stuff going on. You know, you had, or I shouldn't say crazy, there's things going on in our culture that people are discussing. And I'll give you two examples. One is the Gillette commercial. The second one is this thing going around about the kid wearing the MAGA hat with the Indian the Indian guy. And I don't care what your feelings are either way, to be honest with you, because what I take from both of those things is, no matter if you're to the left or to the right, is it's bigger than that. It's about this value that's been lost in our society, and that's called honor, right? And honoring people. I mean, where is the honor gone? We're just rude. We're just nasty. We're just ridiculous. I mean, it's shameful, the lack of honor that we have for one another, right? And how quick we are to judge people and to tear them down because maybe they don't believe what we believe. And instead of sitting down and maybe breaking some bread and having a conversation with them, we attack them. It's just shameful. I'll get off my soapbox with that. But that's the third thing, is honor, right? I'm big on honor, right? That's a principle that I will die for, is honor. And I hope that when I die, people will say that I was honorable. Even if I didn't agree with them, I was honorable. The other three, if you notice down there in the right-hand corner, these are the other three principles that I live by. And these come specifically from Micah 6:8, which is a Bible verse that says, "He has showed you, O man, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you, but to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God." Right? So I believe in justice. And obviously that can take many forms, but ultimately I believe in God's justice, and God is the one who determines what that justice looks like. And secondly, I believe in mercy, right? And I could be wrong. I'm off the top of my head. I believe mercy is getting what you don't deserve, right? Someone shows you mercy. The other thing I believe is in humility. I always want to be humble. I want to avoid pride, because in my life, every time that I became selfish and I became prideful, man, did I get knocked back down, and I made some horrible, horrible mistakes from going that direction. So I want to walk with humility in everything that I do, and I hope I come across like that. And if I don't, and I'm not, and you're watching this and you're a good friend, I hope that you'll be real with me and pull me aside and let me know. So those are the 6 principles that I base my life on, that I'm willing to die for, and that I'm teaching my children, and that my family stand for on this. And this is going to serve a greater purpose, like I said, when my son turns 18. He doesn't know this. Maybe he'll see this. Maybe he'll forget if he does see this. But I'm going to turn this into a banner, and I'm going to give this to him as part of the ceremony that I'm going to do for him when he graduates, right? And I'm going to talk about these things to the people that are there as I present it to them. So kind of, to make it memorable, that piece. So that's basically it for today on My Life Monday. Just remember this, right? Like, this is serious stuff. So I encourage you as a man to write these things down and to think about them. What do you stand for? And what values will you teach your children? And maybe if you don't have kids, okay, what values will others know you by? And when maybe think about the future, right? And when you're dead and people are standing around your grave and they're saying, okay, this was a man of XYZ. What do you want those things to be? Simple to think about, easy to forget, easy not to follow through, easier not to live them out, especially when the pressure's on. Especially when the pressure's on. So I hope you guys had a good day. If you found value in this video, please like it, please comment, please share. I appreciate that. These videos are reaching a lot of guys. A lot of guys are reaching out to me behind the scenes and sharing difficult things with me, sharing good things with me. But as men, we need encouragement, right? We need another brother to come alongside of us and to pick us up at times, right? To tell us that we're good enough, to tell us that we got what it takes, to tell us that we can stick in our marriage, we can stick it through if it's, for experiencing rough waters, which every marriage does, which every relationship does, So I just want to encourage you, brothers. Tomorrow is Tuesday Thoughts. Wednesday, we got Wednesday Wisdom. Then Thursday, we got Throwback Thursday. Friday, we got the next Manhood, our Man Up episode, which I'm really excited about. So we're going to take a look at those 4 faces of manhood again, and then talk about like what happens when those faces kind of get skewed, right? And what happens in our life. And then Saturday, we got Saturday Shout Out. And then Sunday, we got Sunday Sermon. I'll just be sharing more about some things in my life and what happens as we progress. So I really appreciate you guys joining me in this journey and watching these videos. That means a lot. Like I said, I just want to help men because I'm just sick of seeing men commit suicide. I'm sick of seeing men die silent deaths inside because they're full of shame, they're full of guilt for a lot of different reasons. Like, we're greater than that. Each one of us has a purpose that only we can fulfill. I'll probably cry. So with that, I'm going to sign off, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.